Cape Town has always been an interesting place. If you've ever been to Cape Town, you would know that it's a beautiful place. Other than being beautiful, real estate is pretty expensive in that town. But can you make a business in that area? The answer is yes. And in today's video, my friends, I'm going to dive deep, a little bit deep in terms of how do I find properties in there and how do I run the numbers? What kind of tools do I use? And I'm going to show you a deal that we did showcase not so long ago. And this is a block of flat that we found. And the owner has now just asked for 3.2 million on it. And it can give you a good cash flow. It can give you a good cash flow with the right strategy. So today I will walk you through a step-by-step process. So if you've never been here before, from time to time I come out and then I just go, Alice, I'm giving you everything, the tools that I use, how to calculate this, and everything else. So we can make sure that by the end of the day, are we buying a good deal? So let's dive into it. By the way, my name is TJ. It's great hanging out with you. I've been doing real estate for a minute, and I buy properties in a few towns. And over and above that, I've been coaching other people who have the same zeal to do businesses. But I'm a business coach in different aspects of the business, and that's what I do for a living. But at the back of that, I do real estate. I do real estate for my family because I do know that I am not going to be a business coach for a long time that's being active, right? So I'm exchanging my time to teach others, to hold others, and guide others. Every hero needs a guide. So I am that guide. And I've been a guide for just over 100 people. I tried to do this in a small number of people year on year. And it started off as a hobby, but we're not here to talk about that coaching business. We're here to speak about this particular deal. Actually, surprise, surprise, one of my clients is actually in the process of buying this property. So I'm going to walk you through the same things that I have taught him, and he's been able now to identify such kind of things. But the fortunate thing about this deal here, it came through to my office first. So we saw it and we saw the opportunity, and we knew exactly who within the tribe who's got the enough capacity to dive in a deal like this one. We passed it on to them, and bingo, they were able to buy it. So they're busy now with their bank and so on. So that's an amazing thing. It's a value add in terms of being in the tribe. But let's dive into the deal. This property is in Cape Town, and it's an amazing deal, I think, because you can't buy real estate in Cape Town for less than 3.2, especially for a business perspective. It's just not practical. A normal house would generally actually cost you the same amount of money. So now imagine you are actually buying a property for business for 3.2. And this particular project, I did give you a teaser not so long ago in my previous video. And basically, we were saying that you can do a normal rental on this property. It's something that we're going to look into not a little bit deeper. But I have done a video in which you can actually go and calculate for yourself whether the deal would work or not. But we're going to focus on student accommodation on this specific video today. And also we're going to throw in a little bit of Airbnb because it's a thing, right? Especially during holidays, if you didn't know. Now, we did say that this property, you can buy it for 3.2 million. So somebody is buying it already. And there's renovations of 560,000. So you need cash of 560,000. And over and above that, this is including some of the other costs, right? And so on. Then over and above that, what's going to happen is, there's a good return on investment on your cash for around about 56%. My friends, that's a good return. If you have to look at your returns right now, if your money is sitting in a bank or wherever it is sitting, I'm sure that you will see that you do not get this kind of returns. But there's a difference here. This is also a type of savings because you're putting your money in real estate, and real estate continuously grows. In Cape Town, actually, depending on the area, but their properties have been appreciating in double digits for a long time, dependent on the area. And that's something that we can look into. But there is something that is also called the equity here that we are obtaining right off the cuff. We estimated just below 2 million when I showcased the video. And I want to give you a step-by-step process of how do we actually get here. So brace yourself. Have a pen and a paper. Watch this video a couple of times in your notebook. I trust that you already have a notebook that you're already. I always say to people, when you're watching these YouTube channels, have a book that you're learning with. And as and when you're getting nuggets, you write down in your book. In your book, you should have a couple of things. You should have things that you should start doing and things that you should stop doing. And what is it that you learned? You know what I mean? And then we can progress like that. So I am going to go on to talk about the deal. Let's assume that this deal we found it over the internet. But in this case here, we didn't find it over the internet. So we have no pictures or anything like that. It's a deal that have come through into the network with someone that we trust. And now we're going to say, okay, great. What is the first step that we need to do? The first step that we need to be doing here is to see whether the numbers will stack up on the deal. Is it a good deal? That's what I'm asking here. Is the deal a good deal? So I'm going to show you guys the numbers of the actual deal. Let's jump in onto my screen here. Right. So this deal here, we are saying that we can buy it for 3.2 million. You can see my screen there. And then over and above that, for that's 3 million, we are going to have bond transfers for let's just call it 360. However, this property is sectionalized, which basically means that each unit is going to carry its own title deed. And then over and above that, you will find that your transfer is generally lower. The lower the property, the lower it is. But we're looking at this property as one big deal. That's what we're trying to do here. Okay. Then we're going to have conversion, right? I have on this property here, because I know the property, I've been there, and I'm also in the business of student accommodation. I have estimated a 4,000 Rand per student to say this is what I want to do. And the number of the students here, this is what I am saying that will give us to the 204. Then I have now added up my 204 plus my 560. My 204 plus my 360. That's now giving me a whopping of 560,000. This is money that I need to have. It's cash. I need to have this cash available. So which basically means that this is going to be my cash in the deal. But I am also now going to consider the fact that this is a holistic deal. I'm going to carry the cash and the debt itself. So my entire cash that I need to be putting up front here together with the bank's money, other people's money, I'm now sitting on 3.7 million. Let's just call it 4 million. I just want us to be comfortable, 4 million. Then we're going to say, okay, great. What is the rental in this area here? So the rental in the area, because I'm in the area, I already know. If you don't know, all right, I want to say this to you because, some people would say, TJ, it's easy for you to calculate these things because you're in the deal already. Let me pause there and say to you, if you don't know, this is specifically for student accommodation. So this is a by the way tip that I'm giving you guys so that you can go ahead and find out. So if you don't know the rates of how much you should be renting to the students, there isn't available websites that you can go and double check to see how much it is, right? But what you can do is you can do your own due diligence. Due diligence just basically means do the research. When I'm saying do the research, what do I mean? If you are going to be serving a specific university, right? This is like very important. I kind of like need to lean in here. If you're serving a specific university, my friend, it is important that you understand the university itself. Does it make sense? So what do you need to do? Step number one, you need to go to that university and find out what is their rates. What was their rates last year? What was the rate the previous year? What is their anticipated rate for next year? If that number is not there, maybe check for the last 3 years. And then make an assumption to say, okay, year number one, they had an increment of 5%. Year number two, they had an increment of 5%. Year number three, it's likely that it's going to be a 5%. But I wouldn't say then take the 5%. I would say don't take it and calculate with the same rental income for the previous year. When your 5% comes, voila, it's a bonus, right? Because you hadn't factored it in. Does that make sense? So that is step number one in terms of I'm new into this space. How best can I go out there and find out how much is the rent per bed? So that's step number one. Step number two, I actually don't want to call it step number one. Let's just call it option number one. Option makes sense. Option number one. Option number two is that you can then be able to also look at other student accommodations in the area. So go and see, there might be a student accommodation by John's house or Betty's house or a Kaya home or whatever it is, right? And go and check it out and see what is it that they are offering for how much. I always say to people, before you go out and embark on this, and you are totally new from this, maybe go and check out 10 properties, right? 5, 10, 10 properties. With those 10 properties, check what is being offered. If it is going to be standard across board, then take the average of these 10 properties that you went to see. But whilst you're there, you're also going to have what I call the gut feel. The gut feel is that when you see another property, it's the je ne sais quoi is at the toppest level, and they are maybe charging $5,000 and everyone else is charging 3,000. It is obvious, right? It's obvious that you now understand why they are charging 5,000. Isn't that so? Yes. But hey, these are the simple things that you need to be looking out for as and when you're out there. So it's not just about you doing what we're doing now here on the deal, but it's also about scouting in the area. This is the same thing of knowing your competition. What are the competitors offering? And whatever that they're offering, what are they pricing at? And then you can come up with your own product. And your own product now, you can charge at 5,000, even at 6,000. Because let me give you an example here, right? And the example that I'm going to give here, this is just, we're still just talking about how much can you charge your tenants or your clients. In this case, let's assume that everybody else is not offering, let's say, key services like laundry, key services like maybe, what can I think about? A tutor, maybe as an example, right? And these are the two things that you know you can provide, and everybody else is not providing it. So what is a tutor? A tutor is someone that is going to teach, right? So maybe you have someone within your network who's already maybe struggling to get a job or whatever it is, or to get clients. So you hire them at 1,000 Rand, let's say 1,000 Rand for the month. And basically you bring this individual to say, look, you take all my kids in my property, and for 2 hours, I give you 1,000 Rand per week, whatever that you're going to do. Now you're the only person offering this, and you can now charge, instead of 5,000, you can charge 6,000, because now you've got a service that is rare and only to you. It's the same concept with Woolies. All of us, we all run to Woolies. Well, except me when we're talking about niches. because they peel the niches for you there. It's not my thing, but I see people buying niches for 50 Rand, 100 Rand. Just because the niche has been peeled. It's a special service, my friends. Okay? The same thing. You need to think of this as a business. It is a business. So think of it as a business. Let's go back to our slide. You can see that I am passionate about this, and it is something that I want to do. So here we are talking about 4,500 if they are sharing, and if they're not sharing, it is 5,500. These are the going rates today. So what does it mean? They're going to be banking this particular person on this property of 4 million buy. We just rounded it off, remember, right? Now they're going to be banking 900 grand. 98,000, let's round it off for ease of conversation. 100,000. But hold on, there is plenty of expenses that they need to cater for. Someone is saying, TJ, I can't see nicely here. You need to wear spectacles, bro. Okay, no. Okay, all right, there we go. Now you've got an income. This is a gross income, right? What is a gross income? Gross income means that the money that you're getting before you can actually expense anything at all. Gross income. It's important for us to understand these phrases or to understand these words, because then you go on to a deal and estate agent says to you, you know, the net income is X and the gross income is X. You're like, why is there difference? So I'm hoping that I'm giving you some value. If it's adding any value to you, let me know in the comments. Give us a high five or something, or ask anything that is not clear to you. At the moment, the prime rate is round about at 11, and we have said, what if we go and borrow some money and we are getting a prime plus 1? But here is something, a tip that I want to give you as and when you're looking at these deals. Always look at them from your standpoint today. What do I mean by your standpoint? I basically mean that you already have maybe a bond, and your bond is on prime plus 2 or prime plus 3. I don't know. When you're doing these calculations on these spreadsheets that we give you, we then say to you, use the current rate that you've got. That's the rate that you are likely going to have. Does that make sense? So that's a tip. When you are personalizing this here guy that we're talking about, he is actually getting a prime minus 1. So when we were calculating this, he was okay with it already because he's got another percentage to weather the storm, if ever the governor is ever going to increase the prime lending rate, right? Does it make sense? So always have cushion when you are making this. There's rates and taxes. Some of the other properties on here are not going to have rates and taxes, but it's they're below the market value of rates and taxes. So when you're looking at your rates and taxes, you find that the lower it is, there is an X amount of money, depending on the town. There's an X amount of money that is deducted for you, and then they give you. So in this particular area for these properties, they are paying rates and taxes for 400 Rand. Going further, utilities, I already know what it's like. It's generally around about 450 per student that we do per month. And then gardening, there is no garden on the property. You saw the picture. I'll show it to you again. And cleaning service, we are budgeting. This is like detergent and stuff. We're budgeting at 2,000 Rand. So obviously we buy these things in bulk because we now have several properties in that particular area. So we do that in bulk, and then obviously we allocate it. Wi-Fi, there we now have a good rate with our service provider. We've been journeying with them for around about the last 4 to 5 years now. So they understand the needs, and we are continuously giving them business. So there's a good rate that is coming out of here. That's the power of having the same service providers as you grow in your business, right? It's a tactic, but it's helping you. It's helping your service provider. Both of you guys are growing. You understand each other. That's just business, right? Insurance, this one here is on 1,000. And over and above that, There is armed response within this area, so we don't have like a guard on the property. It's armed response. So basically, you press a button. They give us a button for all the houses units that we've got. Sometimes they even give us double per unit. And basically, anyone presses that, the armed response are there in a couple of minutes. Over and above that, there's a caretaker, someone who will look after the property and obviously looking after some of the students. And there's a management fee of 14,000. This is a deal that I call an armchair investment deal. Right. So this is one of those deals where you are buying for yourself. But for instance, this guy here who is buying this property, I know that he's not able to manage this property by himself because he's busy in his workplace. He's a head of something in his employment, and I think he's a head engineer. I think he said he is his latest gig. So within this job that he's got, he cannot manage it. So he has hired. Remember, I've extended my property management services to you guys, and I said I do have it. So basically, he gets a property manager, and that manager reports into him on a monthly basis or whenever it is. They've created a rhythm in which that they talk to each other when there's issues, when they don't know issues, and obviously all the funds are chased for. So all he's doing in actual fact is buying the property, and from buying it, renovating it, and he can find cool people to do that within the community. And over and above that, they will do the renovations for him. He needs to manage that by himself, or he can look for a project manager. It's a service that we offer for properties that we are going to manage. And then thereafter, he's got this property manager who's going to manage it. Now he can sit back, do what he enjoys to do, and he can continue. And the whopping 56% is what he is going to be getting. Now, let me jump back to that again. You might be wondering, TJ, where is that 56 again that you're talking about? Here it is, my friends. That 56%, let's just call it a 50% on his money, and that's a 26,000 Rand coming to him on a monthly basis. Awesome. Now, we have gone through this process now. It's the, how to call it, the deep dive of the deal. Okay. Now, what I want us to do here, I want us to go into the deal because it's 3 million. That's how much we're buying this deal for, 3.2 million. And is there any form of equity? How did we figure out that there's an equity, right? So I want to introduce you guys to a tool that is called TPN. By the way, they're not paying me to promote this. I am not promoting it, but I'm saying it's a tool that I use. I like to use it because it gives me the data that I want. And also, they are on the affordable side. Right. So here on TPN, you can have, you can literally jump onto www.tpn. Maybe let's do that for some of us who might not know how to get there. So you did see I typed in www.tpn. It gives you this cool website. So these guys are in the data space, right? That's what they have. I don't have an account with them. So I just come here and then I buy, but you can have an account with them. So I go to their shop. I click on the shop, and from the shop, they have so many cool products for people that are playing hard in the real estate. But some of the things that I want to look out for in here is the things that they call a property report. It's quite cool. I like it. And let's jump onto it. So it is the first one there. And you can jump on and read all of these things on the TPN website. I like this report that's called an investor report. It gives me a good indication about the area, and it gives me an indication, some insights on that particular property, and it pulls all the way to the provincial, state, and even at the national level. So I can look at my property in terms of how can I compare it. Today, we're going to be focusing on a report that is called the property evaluation. All right. So property evaluation, that's what it is, evaluation. And the method that they're going to be utilizing here is the comparable comparable evaluation, which all of us will be able to understand. There's no science in this. Basically, they're taking this a house in a particular street, and they're taking in the same area, the same house, in the same street. We compare if number one was selling for 1 million, number two was selling for 1.1, number three was selling for 900. So between all of these things, we are adding this and we divide by the number of properties that's comparable, and you get the price for your property. And then if that's what estate agents do as well. And then over and above that, they may also look at what do you have on the property, but it must not be too out. So it's a residential one that we are looking at. So we're looking at residential one. Why are we looking at residential one? Okay. We are looking at residential one, but why are we looking at the residential one? Because this property that we are buying, it's a block of flats. So which basically means that it's no longer residential one, it is residential 4, because now you got multiple units. However, you need to look at it as well from a buying perspective as a res 1, because you are buying each unit on its own. Yes, each unit has its own title deed. And for that reason, I am going to jump in now for us to look into the evaluating of each property, the block of flats. Now, each unit, there's 7 of them in here, and we are going to look into all of them together. How do you generate the report? Basically, you click on where it says generate, and then it's going to ask you the address. You put in the address. This report is going to cost you 36 rand. This is like nothing. For the data that you're going to be getting, 36 rand is basically nothing. But I'm highly appreciative of these guys, TPN Credit Bureau, that they can give us this data at an affordable rate. These are some of the things that you can look out for on your report. And we are going to be looking specifically at the estimated property value. And to save time, what I have done is that I have downloaded already these things, right? So there's 7 of them, and we are going to look at each unit. Right. We are going to go into unit number 1. So this is unit number 1. And the unit number 1, I am wanting us to go onto a different spreadsheet. And this particular spreadsheet that I'm going to go into is the evaluation report. So we're buying this properties for 3.2 million. I could have put in a specific value for each, but some of these properties are 2 beds and some of them are 1 bed. But I just said to myself, okay, great. This guy wants 3.2 million. Let's just take a standard price for all of them so that we can get over the deal. And because I'm the owner, I'm going to be the owner here. But remember, I am not the one who's buying this property. One of my clients is actually buying this property. And we did this exercise together to see whether this is a good deal or not. So now that we understand the buying price, all right, that's the buying price there, 3 million. Bingo. We're going to put that 3.2 million. You got that? It's basically all these prices here. But now we need to go into the property evaluation using the comparable. Are we getting a good deal? We have negotiated for 3.2, but are we getting a good deal? So unit number 1. This is unit number 1. It does say that, unit number 1, right? They are saying here on the property value, an estimated value of 795, on the market low, 740, and on the market high, 795. So this is a great confidence here that they're getting. So I'm going to take that 795 and I'm just going to jump onto our spreadsheet and I'm going to put here 795,000. Okay. So that's number 1. So we got that. Then we're going to go on to unit number 2, right? There we're clicking on unit number 2. Unit number 2, it's saying 511, right? I'm just going to round off these numbers, right? For ease of mathematics for all of us. Right. There we go. Bring in 511. Already some of you are like, oh, TJ, this guy got a nice deal. Ooh, hold on. We still have, how many more? 5 to go. So that's a lot, right? Unit number 3, 540, right? Okay, 540. Taking 540. There we go. I hope you're still with me here. And then on the 540, again, we're now going to go on to unit number 4. This here is 503. Again, we're going to take 503. Okay. So far, we're still fairly above. So far with everything that we've bought, sounds like this is a good deal. But let's jump on to unit number 5. Might not be. Unit number 5 is a 511. So just want to take that number, copy it, paste it here. Right. And now we're going on to unit number 6. Unit number 6 is a 540. Right. Some of you are already saying, TG, I'm tired. Well, you're tired of making a million. I'm not tired of making a million. I still can go on. Right. Then the last one, number 7, is a 795. 795. I think we had a 795 earlier on. Right. Okay. So bingo, this property now, right? We negotiated to 3.2, but this property now here is sitting on 4.1 million. This is the real value of this property. This is structurally, this is the formula of estimating the value of the property using comparable. There is many methods of evaluating a property, but this is the standard one that we've just done. So in this case, is there equity? So I'm going to say here, by the way, if you're not familiar with Excel, my friends, I hope that you need to get to know Excel. It's like the number one tool that we need to use. Right. So now we're going to say the market value minus the buying price. Okay, there we are. So unit number 1, off the cuff, we're just making a whooping 370, not 370, 337,000, right? That's how much money we're making. Let me make it bigger for you, just in case you're like, I don't see these things. There you are. Right. So I'm going to go in here, apply for all of the units, and then bingo, just buying this property alone. Just buying. You haven't done anything. You are making already 995,000. This is just buying. But TJ, this property, is it good? Is there, what does it look like? Obviously, we now need to take into consideration of all of that. We've been to the property. It's a mint property, clean, right? Like there's very little to do on that property. The renovation that we are actually going to be doing is to increase the value of, to increase space on the students. That's the reason why we are actually putting, but there is nothing to do. This property was recently painted, they recently renovated it, it's clean, right? So this is a good buy. Right, so it basically means that if you're going to be borrowing money from the bank, you could easily actually ask the bank to register the bond on a higher value and give you this amount of money. Because the value of your property, that's what it is. That's another tip there. All right. Now, I want to stop here and ask of you, do you have any questions here? As we go along, what are your questions that you got? I want to hear from you in the comments. Do we have any comments or questions so far on what we have worked on so far on this particular deal? Just giving you a moment to type, right? It's pretty difficult to type. But anyway, I'm hoping that this is giving you some great value, my friends. And if you're one of those people that are looking for these kind of deals, um, this is what we teach, brothers and sisters. This is what we teach at the tribe. But we are also of the firm belief that this is not just about doing numbers. It's greater than that. It's about you being aware of your flaws today, of what is it that you can do, cannot do. And then once you understand that, you can now start to plan ahead and say, look, um, I think I'm superstar in this space. I am not in this space. I need help. And the help that I can give you, my friends, is that I can help you to understand yourself better. I can be able now to work with you so that you can have what we call a growth plan. And then within your growth plan, I can then be able to help you to coach you on a regular basis so that you can be able to get deals like these ones on your own and you can smash it. And if that is you, I urge you that get on the form. There's a link that you can put right on the comments there. And you can follow this link and request a call back. We'll call you, we'll understand where you are, and we'll see how best we can help you. This is what we do all day long. This is what we do, helping others. But if you're one of those people that are saying, TJ, I don't want to click anywhere. I'm scared. I've been scammed before. Don't you worry, my friend. There is our WhatsApp number at the office. You can reach out to us at any time. We'll be able to help you and we'll come back to you during business hours. You can reach out to us anytime, send a text, whatever, but we will come back to you during business hours. Yeah. And or you can just send us an email, tell us your story. Obviously, include your cell phone number on there so that we can be able to give you a call and understand you better and help you on to the next part of your journey. Amazing. Right. Now, let's go back. On this deal here so far, we are making a whopping 1 million. This is the equity that we're getting. But if you do look on the previous deal, it is picking, let me just reduce the zone. This deal here, it's speaking about the 1.8. So TJ, where is this 1.8 coming from? Because on our evaluation, you have just said this evaluation is giving us 1 million. For easy of reference, 1 million. But on here, you are saying 1.8 million. So there's another 900. Where is that coming from? Okay, good. No problem. So I'm going to introduce you to another evaluation method. And this evaluation method, my friends, it's a method that you need to go and hire a professional evaluator, right? The next evaluation that I'm going to be giving you, my friends, is an evaluation where you're actually going to need to look to a professional evaluator. What is a professional evaluator? If you are to go to your local estate agent in the area, and you say to your local estate agent, I want to sell my house. I want to sell my house. They are going to send an estate agent, and the estate agent is qualified to assess residential one. There's the next level where you actually need to bring in a professional evaluator, someone who went to school to evaluate real estate. And this time around, this person here, in some cases, some principals in some of the estate agents, they know how to do that. Or they're qualified on how to do that. But you can research yourself to find professional evaluators, right? It's not the same. You know, when you're buying a property and then there's an evaluator who comes to your property, those are the guys that I'm talking about, right? So obviously now you can engage with them, and those people, what they are going to do, they are going to give you a report, and that report, I think I've got a one here. I'm just not so sure where it is. I've done about 6, 7 of them in my investment cycle. And basically that report, what it's going to give you, it's going to give you a comparable report like what we've just done now. That's easy. Everybody can do it with an access of that tool. And then the second one is that they're going to consider the cash flow that is coming out of the property. So that evaluation is based on the income that you're going to get. Now, let's jump onto the deal. So this property here that we're talking about, it's got a gross income of 100,000, right? I recently did, not like recently, but about a year or two, about a year, I've got a similar deal where I am banking 100 grand. And on that 100 grand a month, the evaluator evaluated my property for 5 million. Went to the bank, and then the bank says, yeah, they took in that evaluation. Now, because I understand I'm in the game, right? And because I have that in the back of my head, now when I see another deal like this one, bingo, I already know. If you're going to be hitting your income at 100,000, the property is going to be already 5 million because I've done a similar report. Does it make sense? Okay, so the benchmark that I've just created for myself in my business, and I can strip it up or I can bring it down without having to go and spend. You might be asking, how much money, TJ, does this professional evaluator is? Anything between 15,000 and around about 20 grand. They give you a good report, all right? So having said this, my friends, I want to come back into this deal now to say we have walked through the deal, and within this deal now, we have gone in to understand the numbers. We did the numbers together. That's number one. Number two, we actually then went to double check the evaluation on the property, and we've seen it. Now we've done a comparables, and it has given us a good rate. So we looked into the evaluation of this property, and we said, okay, great. Here is how much we're buying for, and here's the actual market value. Now, my friends, you can play around with this a lot, right? You could either put in the bottom numbers on here. You remember there was a confidence number, and there was a lower number, and then there was a high number on the report itself, right? I'm just going to take a random unit here. You can either take the list number here, and your list number here is based on the fact that maybe this property is run down. But for me, I took in the confidence number because I know the status of the property. It looks good, right? So I know it's worth more than that. I already know that. And it's well situated for what I'm trying to do. When the seller said 3.2, I'll take it, I was like, I'll take it. I already know someone in my community who has this kind of money and they can take it. It's a good deal. Well, first I was negotiating for myself, but then I realized, oops, I don't have this enough cash right now, but someone in the tribe has. And that's a value add that you can get into the tribe. So we have looked at the evaluation. We can calculate to see how much money we can make. That's number one. Number two, we have worked on the deal. And now we understand that we can be able, this is the flow of the deal. So we have now a solid understanding of everything here. So we can make 26 grand, 56% on our money. But what is the next step here? We have comfort in the deal. That's all it means. We have done our desktop due diligence. Now we can go onto the ground. And being on the ground, we now need to validate everything else around the renovations. Are we going to get the good contractor? And can I put students on this property? The answer is yes, because it's already on a res floor, so it's a high density, densified. It's a densified property, and for that reason, I can put students there. Now, what does my neighbors look like? Would they be okay for me to have students? Guess what, my friend? This property has been running for student accommodation for the last 3 years, so you got no problem. That's why I did say on my previous video, this is one of those best deals for the 2020 for this year. That's one of those best deals. but I'm giving you a step-by-step process so that you can be able to see how do you vet a property, how do you actually make sure that you're making good money, you're making good money whilst you're buying. And now we want to go through onto the next step of buying. So the next step of buying is that I already know from a value perspective, a valuation perspective, that this property here, unit number one, it is worth 795. So you might be qualifying, let's say, for 4 million. It's a no-brainer to the bank to give you this 450. It's a no-brainer for the next bank to give you this bank for your bank. There's a no-brainer for qualifying for 4 million. You already know that you can claim this because this is 3.2. Or you can go through and say, well, my 2-bed is, where's my valuation? There's my valuation. These are my 2 beds, right? Maybe I can already ask the bank to give me a 795 and then register 795, and then the bank will give you the difference a little bit later, 3 months, 6 months. I've seen that happening a lot of late. Now, I want to ask of you, my friends. So before I close here, I want to ask the point that, now that you understand the deal, number one, does the deal make sense? Let me know in the comments. Number two, from a funding perspective, you are looking for 600,000. However, another tip that I want to mention here is that sometimes you do not have the 600. So how do you work around that? Maybe you can club up a couple of friends and families. I've seen that happening a lot. That's number one. Number two, maybe the bank doesn't give you 100%. They give you 80%. We calculated this deal on the funding side of it on 100%, because we're saying that you qualify for already 4 million as an example, or even 2 million, and you are looking for 500 on each deal. It's a no-brainer. The bank will give that to you, right? But let's just assume they're going to say 80% loan to value. Then what? It basically means that the 600 that you were hoping to have as cash, you now need to plow in more of that. Right. Now I am going to go back to my spreadsheet. Now, let's assume that the bank is going to give you 80%. I'm just going to change my numbers there. It basically means that you now need a deposit of 640. On your 640, if that's the deposit that you're now looking for, it basically means now this year that we spoke about, the 5 something plus the 640, now you're looking for 1.2 million. We're working with that. This is stress testing. What can the bank give me or not? But it's got an effect now on your money, on your return. Because obviously now you're putting in more cash in the deal. Your return investments are now becoming lower because you're putting in more cash into the deal. But obviously, if you've got less than that, let's say the bank gives you a 90%, what's going to happen? Here you are. You're going to need cash of 800,000. Do you have 800 cash? Do you have friends and families that have 800 cash? Oh, your returns is going to be 35%. Bingo. So my friends, there is many ways in which you can skin the cat. Many ways in which you can do this deal. Many ways in which you can skin this cat. Many ways in which you can do it. You could even club up 100, a million rand each, and there's 4 of you. Bingo, you got the deal. You can club up 8 of you on 500,000 each. Bingo, you got the deal. But the problem is that these deals don't wait for you to club up. The deals, they come fast and they are gone. Right. But I hope that this video has been giving you some good insights and you have been able to learn from it. Over and above that, I'm really hoping that if this has been like a great deal for you and you're thinking that it's something that you can do, these deals come and go. Let us know what you can afford. We'll already put you on a waiting list. When a deal comes through, you will be the first one to know, and you can make your decision as fast as possible. We always give priority to the guys in the tribe. But if you're one of those people who are wanting to get deals like these ones, let us know. And you're getting great deals like this. You get a million rand off the cuff, and you're getting 25 grand every month. Who doesn't want that, right? My name is TJ. It's been great hanging out with you. I am hoping that over these holidays, you can enjoy yourselves, but do not forget to keep on planning for the next phase of our lives, which is creating more cash flow for yourself. It is I, TJ. We will see you on the next video.